Hey everyone, it's Alex from the Whiskey Geeks and the whiskeygeeks.com with another short box video for you today. Now, I just couldn't wait until we do our official pairing of this book because I love it so much and Tim loves it so much, so we decided that we would do a quick instant review here of it on our short box video feed, and then we will be doing a full pairing and deep dive into this book in the coming months. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about Die. This amazing book. This is the first trade. It's from Image, and it's written by Kieran Gillen, and the art is done by Stephanie Hans, and it is incredible. Now, if you can see over here on my shelf, I've got a whole bunch of Dungeons and Dragons books, which might give you a hint as to why I'm such a big fan of this book. This book combines, think about Jumanji meets Dungeons and Dragons. So the story starts back in 1991 with a group of 6 teenagers celebrating their 16th birthday party. Two best friends share a birthday party, and since they were too old for cake and balloons and clowns, but not old enough to go out to the bar, they decided, why not have a birthday party, like the party of a Dungeons and Dragons group. So the one friend decides that he's got this game that he's gonna run with a very special set of dice. And they get together at one of their houses, and he opens up the dice and he says, okay, tell me about your characters. So the one wants to be a diplomat, but with an edge, and then one wants to be, the valiant knight, but with, some special powers. And the younger sister who gets pulled along of one of the main characters, this is her first time ever coming, she really wants to be like a cyberpunk style character. And they're all given one dice, and the new girl who comes along, it's her first time, she goes, why do I only get one dice? And Saul, who is the master of the game, says, you're saying it wrong, it's called Die. And so they all take the dice and they all roll, and poof, they get pulled into this world of Die, and where they are living out their characters. And they show up, and of course the one who wanted to be a cyberpunk, she's a cyberpunk, and she's got like a robotic arm, and she can access computers and do hacking and all that stuff. And there's one that's a god binder, so it's like a cleric, but she can get favors from gods, and then she owes the gods. She has to repay these favors. The diplomat with an edge, she has the power of command, so it's much like the spell command from Dungeons and Dragons, or where she can speak and they have to listen, they have to do whatever she says. So she can do this to one person, so you're my best friend, well, that person now serves her and whatnot. So what happens is these kids get stuck in this game for 2.5 years. So they disappear. 2.5 years later, 5 of the 6 reappear in the middle of a road. The girl who was the cyberpunk with the robotic arm shows back up missing an arm. And Saul, who was the master of the game who started all of this, doesn't come back. And they are unable to talk about it. So flash forward, they're all now in their mid to late 30s, and they decide that they got a note, hey, we need to get together, so the group all gets together. Well, one of them received a package, and it has one of the dice. It has one die inside this box, and it's a note, and it says, like it's time to play. So they decide that they need to go back and try and get Saul, the master, the game master who was left behind. So it's an incredibly interesting story. It's got a bunch of the really cool classic D&D tropes that run through it, all with a really interesting twist. It's a very fresh story. This isn't just Jumanji meets Dungeons and Dragons. That's like too much of a simplification, although I know a lot of the reviews on this online, that's what it says. So in the intro, that's that gets your mind into the right space, but it goes a lot further than that. The decisions that they made when they were 16 have had lasting impacts in this world since they left. So what they built and the lives that they led when they were kids have had 20 years worth of ramifications in this world that continued to go and evolve while they were back in the real world having their own lives, but were physically unable to talk about what had happened because of something that happened in game when they were kids, and that when they left, they physically weren't able to say what had happened to anyone else. So people kept saying like, what happened? Or Saul's mom, like, where's my son? They physically couldn't say what had happened. So they've all had really hard lives. They've, one becomes a writer and is writing like fluff stuff. He's like a womanizer and an alcoholic. He's had a really like tough life. Others have been married and kids and divorced because of the issues that have come out of this, and what had happened when they were kids, and they can't reconcile those two things. So it's super interesting. They get brought back into the game, and they need to reassume their roles as these characters that they had created when they were kids, now with the baggage of 20 plus years of perspective of what mistakes they might have made. They're now carrying the baggage of their real life and the families and friends that they've now left when they've come back into the world of Die. So it's incredible. Kieran Gillen is like on top form in this story. He's actually created a playable version of the game. So you can go at the back of the book. It talks a little bit about how he's developing this. You can actually go online and get a playable format of this. I'm really excited to do that with my current group of Dungeons and Dragons friends that we play, all on Zoom now, of course. But I'm really excited to try and run a game with these mechanics and just see how it goes. Some of the character types in here, like I said, it's not just your basic cleric or your basic druid or what have you. It's a really cool approach. There's a bit of a twist on each one, which is super interesting. The powers or the magic that they're able to access, it's a little bit different than what you get from like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm really enjoying this. The artwork, Stephanie Hans like absolutely crushes the artwork. It is a beautiful, beautiful book. I'm going to be reaching out and trying to get a piece of this artwork. I would love to have like an original piece like of her pencils from one of the books. Like it's fantastic. It is that good. The story is that good. I know I'm biased because I'm a big D&D nerd. I love fantasy. Like down over here I got a bunch of fantasy books on the shelf as well, so like this is exactly my wheelhouse. But I'm telling you, it is a fantastic story. It's a great ride. 15 of I think the 17 books that are going to be released are out. So there are 3 trade paperbacks that you can go out and get. Visit your local comic book store. My guy here up in Ottawa is Mike from Dark Age Comics. You can hit him up. Tim, his place in London, Ontario is Heroes Comics. Both of them have websites you can order online, so like support your local comic book shops. We'd love to hear what you think. If you've read this, let us know what you think. If you play D&D, let us know what you am. I like to play Magic users. Right now in my current game, I'm a level 12 sorcerer, so that's what I enjoy doing. So if you play as well, let us know what it is you're playing, and we'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave us some reviews, and head on over to our Instagram at the Whiskey Geeks. Give us a follow there, and you can see all of our content. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoy this. Go out and pick up a copy of this awesome book. And remember, Scotch and Stories, they were made for each other. Cheers.